Hello and welcome to Last Week in AWS. I'm Corey Quinn. Let's see what AWS has for us this week. By the way, did you know that you can read the long-form version of this? All you have to do is visit lastweekinaws.com and get the newsletter. Try it, you'll like it. Amazon CloudWatch Pipelines now supports configuration of processors via AI. Describe your log processing in plain English and AI writes the config for you, which is awesome because the real productivity win for AI that AWS is loath to mention is really you don't have to spend half a day screwing around with their crappy, inconsistent APIs now that the robot can do it for you. Introducing the Amazon EKS Hybrid Nodes Gateway for hybrid Kubernetes networking. That's right. No additional charges, they say, conveniently bypassing the EC2 instances and data transfer fees you'll need to actually run the thing. Classic AWS move. The feature is free. However, the infrastructure to use it costs whatever your network team's sanity is worth. Genuine progress for anyone tired of begging their on-prem folks to update their route tables, which is a footgun waiting to happen for companies that don't employ people who know what a route table is. EKS enhances cluster governance with new IAM condition keys. 7 new condition keys for EKS, which is great news if your idea of a good Monday is writing SCPs to prevent junior engineers from spinning up publicly accessible clusters encrypted with AWS managed keys. The platform team rejoices. Everyone else discovers their create cluster calls now fail for 7 exciting new inscrutable reasons, each one giving other teams incentive to pursue a shadow IT strategy. Not that they apparently needed it. Attributed revenue dashboard now available in AWS Partners Central. Partners can finally see exactly how much revenue they're generating for AWS, which feels a bit like being handed a detailed receipt of the rope you just sold someone to hang you with. 3 measurement capabilities consolidated into a single dashboard because apparently counting money required a committee. Lambda functions can now mount S3 buckets as file systems with S3 files. That's right, built on top of EFS. This is the kind of mounting that previously was only observed in barnyards. So we've reinvented EFS for Lambda, except now the S3 API pretends to be POSIX. Pour one out for the ops engineer who has to explain why their serverless function has a mount table. At least it's no additional charge, which means it's gonna bill via request pricing. CloudWatch Logs Insights introduces join and subquery commands. That's right, it isn't a database, but it supports join. Sure, Jan. It doesn't support union because Amazon kept reflexively firing everyone who uttered the word. Lambda Durable Execution SDK for Java is now GA. That's right, Lambda functions that can pause for up to a year waiting on external events. It now works in Java, where spending a year waiting on external events has become a cultural norm. Nothing says serverless quite like a workflow that outlives your employment at the company that wrote it. Step Functions is presumably off in the corner, quietly updating its resume while sobbing. Java developers rejoice your checkpoints are now someone else's problem. S3 Express OneZone now supports S3 inventory. 2.5 years after it launched, it finally gets inventory support. It turns out that listing objects in your premium price storage class requires premium priced patience. The good news is you can audit encryption status. The better news is you're going to need the report to remember what it is you're paying for in the first place. S3 now supports 5 additional checksum algorithms. 10 checksums total now, because 5 wasn't enough decision fatigue for any given Tuesday. MD5 arrives in 2026, which is adorable because it's been cryptographically broken since approximately the Bush administration, and it's at no additional cost, which is the AWS equivalent of finding a 20 in last winter's coat pocket. Secrets Manager extends managed external secrets to MongoDB Atlas and Confluent Cloud. Huzzah, no more artisanal Lambda rotation functions that you cargo culted from some blog post back in 2019. Secrets Manager will do it for you for 40 cents per secret per month, because centralized convenience has never met a price tag it couldn't justify. 40 cents per secret. This is why I use Parameter Store for my secrets. It's also likely why CloudFormation doesn't support Parameter Store for secrets very well. Someone has a 40% per secret incentive not to. Track Amazon Bedrock cost by caller identity with IAM principle-based cost allocation. Turns out the answer to which intern bankrupted us on Claude tokens this quarter no longer requires a CloudTrail archaeology expedition and a prayer circle. Bedrock costs now attached to IAM principles directly in CUR 2.0, assuming you remember to enable it at the management account level, that you know what the CUR even is, that you can articulate that knowledge over to the team that cares about the answer to that question that started this whole spiel, and you don't mind a multi-day latency between expensive thing happens, and you can find out why. Transforming FinOps with the latest Amazon Q cost capabilities. Paying $20 per user per month for an AI to tell you why your EC2 bill went up feels like hiring a detective to investigate the crime they just committed themselves. Free tiers 50 queries should cover it, assuming you don't have follow-up questions, which, given AWS billing, you absolutely will. I've kicked the tires on it, and I have many follow-up questions myself, most of them pointed, bordering on rude. Aurora Serverless, faster performance, enhanced scaling, and still scales down to 0. It scales up 45% faster and down to 0, which is coincidentally where my enthusiasm for serverless databases that still bill in ACU fractions tends to land. Genuine improvements at no extra charge, though, which either means competitive pressure is working or someone in Seattle accidentally approved the wrong PR FAQ. From developer desk to the whole organization, running Claude Cowork in Amazon Bedrock. Anthropic and AWS announced you can run Claude Cowork on Bedrock because what every knowledge worker has been crying out for is their AI desktop app gated behind AWS IAM and metered through the AWS billing system. Computer use, the chat tab, and the skills marketplace are all disabled because they require Anthropic-hosted inference, so you're getting the enterprise-safe Claude, which is the one that doesn't do all the things Claude demos with. The product manager in the example turns meeting notes into a brief. How innovative. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, the AWS administrator turns an IAM policy into a 2-week ticket just so she can try it. Get to your first working agent in minutes, announcing new features in Agent Core. Yes, working agent in minutes is the new serverless. It's technically accurate if you ignore the half a day getting your credentials working securely from your terminal, followed by the 6 weeks of IAM debugging that follows like some kind of obscene cloud groundhog seeing its own shadow for the first time. Bedrock Agent Core now promises 3 API calls to production, which is adorable. Your agent will be running in minutes, but the bill will be running considerably longer than that. Automated network incident response with AWS DevOps Agent. That sure is an awful lot of words in a blog post to say, we don't remember that we launched a VPC Reachability Analyzer back in 2020, and for the sake of our GenAI metrics, we hope to God that you don't either. Seriously, this is exactly what VPC Reachability Analyzer does for a flat rate of 10 cents per query. Accelerate development workflows with Amazon EBS volume clones. Snapshot and restore took 12 hours for the healthcare customer in their example. Clones take 54 minutes, and it took AWS almost 2 decades to implement the copy on write semantics that every other storage vendor shipped roughly in 2005. Personally, I choose to believe that this is a product team shitposting about another product team's crappy latency via shipping something better, and I'm totally here for it. Troubleshooting AWS S3 access denied errors using Kiro's CLI. An AI-powered CLI to debug the S3 permission lasagna you built by stacking IAM, bucket policies, KMS, and VPC endpoints on top of each other. The real troubleshooting tool will be a time machine back to whoever approved 7 overlapping permissions layers, but sure, let's throw an LLM at it instead. My approach is closer to, hey Claude, go find out why it's not working from my terminal. Not the Google what Kiro is, stumble through getting it installed, smack into arcane rate limits, realize it can't talk to AWS in the right account yet, go down that rabbit hole, and then finally start using a new tool, but maybe I'm just regressive like that. CVE 2026-6437, mount option injection in EFS CSI driver. That's right. If you stuff a comma into a volume handle, it will cheerfully interpret whatever follows as bonus mount options. Input sanitization remains optional in 2026, apparently. Patch to 3.0.1 or explain to the security team why your Kubernetes cluster is doing interpretive dance with file system flags. And finally, one more CVE for you, 2026-6550, key commitment policy bypass via shared key cache and encryption SDK for Python. Your encryption library is a bug where the same ciphertext can decrypt to multiple different plaintext, which is not encryption, it's a Rorschach test with extra steps. Patch your Python ESDK to 3.3.1 or 4.0.5 and maybe reconsider letting cache layers make cryptographic decisions on your behalf. I'm cloud economist Corey Quinn. Thank you for listening.